Hey everybody, it's Todd Huckabee. So one of the number one questions that I get asked, whether it's through Facebook, at seminars that I'm doing, Instagram, clients, they're like, how did you pick this color that we're fishing with today? What made you, decide this color over this color? Well, a lot of it is time on the water. A lot of people, and even myself for good grief, the last 20 years, thought, okay, the water's muddy, yep, we need to go with something like this, which is a really dark color, or something like this, which is really bright. And there were days where in that muddy water, they would bite this better than they would bite, say, a clear bait. And I was under the understanding that, okay, they bit this better because they could see it better in the muddy water. Now with this new technology, these LiveScopes and different graphs and stuff, guess what, guys? They can see this in the muddiest of muddy water. I'm talking 10 times muddier than Grenada or anywhere else. They can see this bait just as well as they can see this bait. How? I don't know. LiveScope's shown us that. You know, they can see a little tiny hair jig just the same as they can see a big bait. You don't need 100 colors. Okay, the difference between this bait right here having silver flake in it and this bait right here having gold flake in it is only going to matter to you. Now, don't let that get in your head of that's why you were unsuccessful. A lot of it, to me, is presentation and depth. That's what LiveScope's shown us. If you do everything correctly with the wrong colored jig, you're going to catch more fish than if you do everything incorrectly with the right colored jig. So slow your presentation down. Don't get real hung up on color. You know, you can have every color made by every bait company, but the one thing that a lot of the pros agree on is profile. And you're starting to see that guys, whether they're using braid or not, are carrying multiple pair of scissors, got little clippers. And the reason why is because we're figuring out, and it's because of this technology where we're actually watching how fish respond. So here is this bait in its entirety. It's got the beaver tail to it, okay? And what we're seeing is some days, if you cut it down into a V, you're actually taking away a lot of that bulk of that plastic. Some days this makes a big difference. Other days where I would have people who would, clients, get in my boat, and they would pick up a bait that maybe had a stinger tail. And so they would take the same color bait and they would drop it down and get bit. Now, not every fish is going to want a certain profile, but just by changing the profile of this bait just a little bit, a lot of times will get you an extra 2 to 3, maybe 10 bites a day. So whether you're out fun fishing or tournament fishing, by changing the profile of a bait, a lot of times will get you those key bites. And not only will it get you some key bites, but it keeps your confidence going in that, oh, okay, they are biting, we can catch them in this area. And then you start experimenting with other things. But like I say, it's profile. I'm 1,000,000% convinced that it's profile more than anything else, because maybe these fish don't want a lot of movement on a big tail. Well, you trim it down or cut it into a V and you're taking away a lot of that. So experiment with the profile of it more so than the color. Just get some basic colors. You know, get something that's bright and shiny and obnoxious. Get something that's more dark, and then get some muted down colors. Something that's more clear for maybe those fish that are a little more finicky. But then experiment with maybe taking a little bit off of the head of this, shortening it a little bit, cutting a little bit of the tail down, changing the profile of it. And that's the whole reason why some days a little tiny hair jig works better. Back in the day, we thought those little jigs worked better because they had a slower fall. Well, good grief, when you put 1/2 ounce of split shot above it, you're not getting that slow fall, but it's that small profile. It's profile. It's just like us. Sometimes if we're not in a great mood or we're feeling bad or whatever, you don't want a big steak, but you'll still eat a package of peanut butter crackers. Okay, so it's more of the snack versus meal deal. So experiment with profile and you'll have a lot more success.